All right, so we will continue with the bracha of Retzeh, which we started yesterday, and we're almost finished with the Nigle part, with the traditional sources part of the analysis. We talked about how this is a bracha in the section of thankfulness, but we're thanking Hashem by asking Him more stuff, because that's how we recognize that we're completely dependent on Him. Talked about how we're asking for the Beit HaMikdash, and how we're asking for be able to do the sacrifices again, and how we're asking or trying to also ourselves be fiery sacrifices in the amount of passion we are able to use in our davening, etc., etc. So the bracha ends, Baruch Atah Hashem HaMachazir Shechinato LeTzion. Blessed are you, Hashem, the one who returns the Shechina to Tzion, to basically Yerushalayim. Now the Shechina, this is a bit confusing because it says that the bracha is calling for the Shechina, for the divine presence, to come back to Yerushalayim. But the Shechina is present in Yerushalayim, right? You go to the Koisel, there's Kedusha there. But it does not feel with the clarity and the intensity that you would feel during the first temple, or even with how it felt in the second temple, which was less. We know there are a lot of pieces of the Beit HaMikdash that were missing by the second temple, including the Aron HaKodesh itself, the Ark with the tablets. It was quote unquote missing. I mean, it's supposed to be buried somewhere deep below the Beit HaMikdash, but it wasn't in its normal place. The Urim Etumim, and even the Shechina itself wasn't as present or as palpable in the second temple as in the first. And for sure, nowadays, it's not. If not, you would go there and that would be it. You would turn around and do everything right. And that's not what happens. In fact, there's a lot of people who are very close to where the Shechina is, and they pretty much everything wrong. Some of our cousins were around there. So we're asking for it to be back as it was, not only as it was in the second temple, and not only as it was in the first temple, but even more, which is going to be by the third temple, good morning, which is going to be even much more. And I was going to say something, but I forgot.
This is part of the Retzeh.
Yeah.
It's not a separate one.
This is the bracha, the end. We're at the end of Retzeh. Amachazir Shechinato LeTzion. Yeah?
I understand, but I mean, I thought it's two separate.
Where's the bracha? Retzeh.
No, right, there's no bracha.
No, that is the bracha for Retzeh. We're going to point to that in a minute. And I mean, if you've been, anybody of you have been to what they call the Minarot HaKotel, the tunnels below the Kotel? Yes? Not yet?
Obviously, no. Yeah.
Obviously not.
I haven't been there, so.
Okay, so there's a whole tunnel system they have dug out under the Koisel, that they even have a shul down there. And they have a place that they say is aligned to where the Kodesh Kodashim was. And you feel a bit more of the Shechina down there in certain parts, because you are even closer or more aligned than where you are by the actual Koisel, which is like to the side. Anyways, we want Hashem to be back in full glory, in a revealed way, because Hashem is everywhere. It's just in a revealed way in the Beit HaMikdash. Now, regarding your confusion, which is very relevant to the next point, he said, what do you mean? I thought this was something separate. It was not something separate, because the bracha starts Retzeh, and it has to end with Baruch Atah Hashem. But in the middle, we add sometimes Ya'aleh v'Yavo. On Rosh Chodesh, on Chol HaMoed Pesach, on Chol HaMoed Sukkot, we add Ya'aleh v'Yavo. And you could ask the question, why put it here? Why Ya'aleh v'Yavo is in the bracha of Retzeh? Why is not somewhere else? Why not bring it forward to the beginning, towards the beginning of the Amida? But on Rosh Chodesh and Pesach and Shavuot and Sukkot, well, Shavuot we say Yavle Yavo, but we don't, there's no day of Chol, so we don't say it in this Amida. Those are the days we most miss the Beit HaMikdash. Because the whole service was done in the Beit HaMikdash, and the sacrifices, and the breads, and this and that. So as we're saying a bracha to try to say, please let us have the sacrifices back, this is the most appropriate bracha to highlight Rosh Chodesh and Pesach and Shavuot and Sukkot and Rosh Hashanah and Kippur, etc., which is, we say this in Ya'aleh V'yavo. So that is why this is placed here. Okay, with this, we have analyzed the bracha with Nigle, with the revealed part of Torah, or what we could call traditional sources. It's good, super clear. Okay, we're going to Chassidus. Chassidus. We always start mentioning what is the Nekuda under Hashem's name in Kabbalistic Siddurs. And the Nekuda in this bracha is chassidic. Chassidic, which is the little dot, which sounds like an I, which is connected to the Sephira of Netzach. And we'll see if we are able to connect that by the end. Okay, Retzeh Hashem Elokeinu ve'amcha Yisrael. We want Hashem to favor your people Israel. The Tzemach Tzedek explains that the word Retzeh obviously comes from Ratzon. Ratzon means will. Like when we say, may be your will. May be your will. And so here we're asking Hashem to look at us from the level of Ratzon, from the level of will. But which level? There's a special level called Rava dechol Ravin. The translation would be the will of wills. Yeah? It's an internal part of the will. By the way, the last part of Shabbat is connected to this. That's why the last part of Shabbat is so high, so elevated. When we do Sudah Shlishit, the whole idea has to do with the idea that Chabad does not eat bread in Sulah Shlishit because it's such a high time we don't want to spend it eating bread. We'll talk about it another day because well, how are you going to do it? But there's a whole halachic basis to be allowed not to eat bread, but that's not for today. Anyway, so Rava dechol Ravin, the will of wills, because if he can relate to Hashem, can relate to us from that level, then His love for us will be absolutely unconditional. And without any logical reasoning, he would have to treat us in the best way possible. So we're trying to connect with Rava dechol Ravin. And again, as you learn Chassidus, it's very common to discover every time new and new levels that are very, very high up. That's what I mean. I'm not even connected to the first floor. Now you're trying to connect me to the 67th or 75th floor. But yes, we have to shoot high. If you shoot high and you miss, you will be higher than if you shoot low and you don't miss, right? And please pay attention to our davening. The Mittler explains that the word she'eh means to turn around. Like when we say in the Birkat Kohanim, Yisa Hashem panav elecha, right? Turn your face towards us, Hashem. So we're asking Hashem, turn your face toward us and bring us salvation and illumination and goodness. Like sometimes your kids, or your grandkids, all they're trying to do is do something, so you turn around and look at them. Pay attention to me. Lift your head from your phone and pay attention to me. So here we're asking Hashem to pay attention. Yeah. Ve'ishei Israel, we're skipping some stuff where I don't have any commentary. Ve'ishei Israel utfilatam be'avat tekabel ratzon, and the fire offerings of Israel and their davenings should be received in the will with love. And here we have an interesting little part of the Shulchan Aruch Arav from the Alter Rebbe, from the section 120. It says as follows: the term Ve'ishei Israel, the fire offering of Israel, alludes to the neshamos, to the souls of tzaddikim that are offered by the angel Michael on the sublime altar. Yeah. On earth. When we talk about Isha Israel, talking about the sacrifices offered by the righteous, where they surrender their neshamas, their souls, to Hashem with every word that comes from their mouths. And mouth is also a metaphor, according to Kabbalah, to the altar, to the Mizbeach. And we're connecting to whatever is also, or tzaddikim can connect to whatever is also happening in the higher altar, done by Malach Michael. And it is prayer of this nature, when we can pray with this connection, with this amount of concentration, with this amount of giving ourselves up, that you can really call avodah shevelev, the service of the heart. Since spiritual sacrifices of this kind are offered like a fire, yeah? And so that's why they're called the fire offerings of Israel. And so the fire offerings refers to this fire, to this passion, to this absolute dedication to what we're doing, while the prayer, because it says Isha Israel Filatam, the fire offerings and their davening, the prayer refers to the actual words of prayer. So this, we called it chassidic, but it's brought in the Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe. The Shulchan Aruch of the Alter Rebbe sometimes has some Kabbalistic, mystical ideas. Most of this was on parentheses, but it's still there. And the service of Israel, your people, should always be favorable in your eyes or for you. And so here we have another idea that we mentioned in similar ways in other brachas, where even though based on my logic, my service of Hashem, my davening, it's not up to par. It's not like, oh wow. It's not like we said a few days ago that Hashem really wants to hear Moshe Mendel's prayer and tells everybody, be quiet, I want to hear this. I might say, my prayer, really? It's nothing to be jealous of, yeah? But this is alluding to the fact that Hashem will all anyways accept it because of the profound, deep relationship that we have intrinsically with Hashem. And so He will accept our prayers and look at us always with positive eyes. Even if logically you say, what I just did wasn't such a big deal. For Hashem it is. And really, sometimes we sell ourselves short. Sometimes we don't, but sometimes we do. Because on the one hand, you probably know you can do better. You probably know I could have davened better. I could have woken up 5 minutes earlier. I could have done X, Y, or Z a little bit better to prepare, to do, not to be running, not to be thinking. But on the other hand, in 2025, with the amount of things that we could be doing at 6:15 in the morning, most of which are sleeping, maybe exercising, maybe getting on top of the news cycle before the day begins on your phone. The fact that we are sitting here is no minor thing. Yeah. For sure, not minor thing to come at 6:45. For sure, even less to come at 6:15 to learn. And then you have David's level, 5:30. That's only for David.
Sometimes before. It's for mental patients.
Sometimes 4:30. Yeah. But the time change is really, what time is it now? Anyways.
Morning.
Okay, we're good. Okay, let's see how much we can do of this part. We'll introduce this part and we're really gonna be able to finish it next week. Okay. So to delve a little deeper, the main purpose of the Beit HaMikdash, which is one of the main things we're asking for in this bracha, we want the Beit HaMikdash to be able to do sacrifices again. But besides for the fact that we're asking for it to have a place to bring sacrifices and to have a place to celebrate the holidays in the full breadth of things we have to do, instead of, I'm going to say this paragraph instead of what we used to do. Yeah? Or I'm going to eat this matzah with lettuce on it instead of having some nice cordero, how you say, have some nice lamb in between. No, we want the real experience. Besides for that, besides for a place where you can sit the Sanhedrin. The Sanhedrin is the supreme court of the Jewish people. This is the place where, as we said, the Shekhinah, the divine presence, rests, and from where all divine light goes out to the world. So famously, we know that the windows, there were windows in the Beit HaMikdash, in the actual building that was in the middle, it had windows. Usually you have windows like here, you want light to come in so that we can have a nice lit experience. Yeah? But in the Beit HaMikdash, the windows were narrow inside and wide on the outside, because it wasn't trying to bring light from the outside in, it was throwing light out into the world. And so that is also what the Beit HaMikdash is. And we've talked many times about the fact that the purpose of creation is Dira Betachtonim, right? To build a house, a comfortable house for Hashem in this world. And the Beit HaMikdash is that's really Hashem's house. No. So this doesn't mean we have to go and get brick by brick and build the Beit HaMikdash physically, because the Beit HaMikdash will, once we finish our work, will come down in its place. And it'll be a beautiful place with the gold and silver and bronze. And I would think now, the third Beit HaMikdash, this doesn't say in the prophet, but I would think we have these massive TVs outside, so you can see the Kohen Gadol doing his thing. Maybe some instant replay. He's doing his things, no? So people can appreciate what's going on. Before it was you have to be really there inside to see it. Now I think it's gonna stream live via YouTube and all platforms.
I don't think you're right, because they don't let anybody in except for the Kohen Gadol, so they could have let people in.
No, not in the Kodesh HaKodashim. And by the altar, where they do. If you bring your own sacrifice, you're allowed to be there. Kodesh HaKodashim will keep it.
Yeah. Nobody.
We'll keep it secret.
I'll wear a body cam.
Exactly. They probably might wear body cams. I don't know if they're allowed. We'll see. We'll find out soon enough. And this is what we're doing on our day-to-day as we're doing mitzvot, as we're doing good things in this world. We are preparing the planet as a nice house for Hashem, as a dira betachtonim. We're taking away the helem of the oilam, which means world, but which also means hidden, something that's hidden. We're taking away how Hashem is hidden from here and demonstrating that Hashem is really here and everywhere. And the Beit HaMikdash is the place for the Dira Betachtonim to express itself, to demonstrate this. We know there were open miracles there on a daily basis, including the fact that back then People would go. You have 1 million, I don't know, 2 million people would go to the Beit HaMikdash for Pesach or for holidays, and they would have space. Not only they would have space physically for people to be there, but at some point when people had to bow down, they also had space to bow down. And then the space went away. How that worked? We'll find out. Maybe in the instant replay we'll be able to see how the space grows, and I don't know. We'll see. And so the Beit HaMikdash was like this massive router that's spreading divinity signal all over the world. Just like our brain is the main part of the vitality of the person, the Beit HaMikdash is the main part of the vitality of the world and all the organs of the world. So this is just an introduction to what we're going to talk a little bit more about next week, with God's help.